Hi everyone, Luna here. Welcome to a new little series called Moonbits, where I'm just gonna ramble about a game that I like. And I don't really have a way to do it, so we're just gonna do it just pretty off script. I mean, I have a script, but it's pretty casual. So, Fire Emblem Engage. Heard of it? The whole game that came out almost a year ago? Crazy part is it's pretty dang good. I mean, I have a whole playlist. Let's play on my channel. Probably find it. I think Fire Emblem Engage is a game that it is unbelievably cheesy. There is no way to get around that. But I think it's pretty self-aware of the fact that it's cheesy. You don't have someone call the main character of a Fire Emblem game the Fire Emblem and not be self-aware. I just think that's not possible. I don't understand how people think, oh, it's super silly. Why is it trying to be? It's not being serious at all. I don't see how it's being serious. And it's not trying to be. And I don't think that's bad. It's a game that wants to have fun, tell a simple story while celebrating the franchise it's built over for years. And I think it's pretty dang good at doing that. The story of Fire Emblem Engage is pretty simple. Big bad dragon can only be stopped with 12 rings. Recruit people in the 4 kingdoms of Zalios, plus an alternate dimension maybe, and kick the dragon's ass. Cool, I'm game. But let's be real, in a game with this many characters from the past, I refuse to believe a story could establish a good tone that would fit all 12 of the previous games at once. Well, I guess not all 12. All 12 of the lords that mattered. You know what I mean. It just wouldn't be possible. I don't see how they would be able to do that consistently. Like, Marth and Corrin come from 2 super different games in terms of tone, in terms of characters, in terms of design. I honestly think the mad design of Engage's cast fits, because no one belongs here. You got freaking Byleth and its gigantic ass outfit alongside, Marth with like a robe. It's kind of part of the fun of it. I like to compare this game to, when I'm talking with people about it a lot, to Sonic Generations. It's not trying to be super insane. It's not trying to be super deep. It's trying to have fun and have good gameplay. I'm not going to talk too much about the gameplay because most of you watching this video probably have already heard that Fire Emblem Engage's gameplay is amazing, and I agree with that, so I don't think I'd add anything new to the conversation. So I'm just going to talk about my personal thoughts on it. So I think going over the top silly route in this was absolutely the right call for them. I just don't see how that would have worked otherwise. The game presents its story in a very overdramatic and silly way while being self-aware about it. It has fun while still leaving room for dramatic moments, made even better by the voice acting. I can't begin to express how good the voice acting is in this game. I don't know how it is. I just think every character sounds fun. All the voice actors sound like they had a good time recording. It's very good. Fire Emblem Fates is an example of a game which is so stuck up its own ass at times that it can't see how dumb some of the plot points are. I think Engage having a super simple story helped it immensely. Is it stupid? Yes. Is it nonsensical? Absolutely. Is it dumb? Absolutely. But I think it's fun. And if it's not, to quote a wise man, if it's not fun, why bother? On top of that, the story doesn't meander like Awakening does. I think Awakening is really good for the first 10 chapters. But then after that, it just kind of loses steam until the end game where it kind of picks back up again and then it goes back down. I think every chapter has a purpose in this one. I don't think anything is fluff. I think they all serve a purpose. Even the ones that are kind of fluff, like chapter 12, serve a point. It introduces Fogato. That makes sense. Include that. The contents of the chapter are sometimes entertaining and sometimes dramatic. It's kind of like if Engage is purposely taking tones of each part of the franchise. I doubt that's what their intention. That's really hard thinking it. But it's pretty good if that's what their intention was. But I'm going to be straight right off. Fire Emblem Engage is not going to be for everyone. You really have to let yourself be soaked into the cheese. If you can't do that, you're not going to enjoy it. I can guarantee you. I've seen so many people lose interest because of its cheesiness, which honestly is fine. I don't agree with it, but it's totally fine because it is a bit much. I mean, look at the main character. Look at their hair. Look at that. That right there should tell you what this game is going to be. But is it bad for being silly? I honestly think that a story like Engage's is only bad if it isn't aware of the fact that it's silly. I think Engage 100% is aware. Basically, especially because of its supports. Me personally, I think the game would be even worse if they tried to tell a serious story with all this cast. It just wouldn't work. For an anniversary game, which is absolutely what this game is, you don't have Marth Fire Emblem appear right front and center on the title screen and on the box art and not have that be an anniversary game. Like, what do you mean? I know he appears in other games, but this is a mainline title. He hasn't appeared since his game. There's no reason it's not an anniversary game. It was originally scheduled for a 2021 release, and that's around the time of the anniversary. If I'm recalling correctly, I'm almost positive that's when the Shadow Dragon what's the word? Remake? Yeah, sure, I'll go with remake, even though that's definitely not the word, was released. But speaking of the cast, I think this is honestly one of the most likable and silly casts in the franchise, mixed in with some really good characters too. Like, I don't think I hate a single character. I don't love all of them, but I don't think I hate a single person. And I don't know if that's just me. But some of my favorites include, or not limited to, Allier, who honestly is probably one of my favorite protagonists in the series. They're just so likable and charming and super fun. I just can't help but adore them. Both of them. I do prefer male Allier's voice acting, though. I think male Allier delivers the battle quotes and some line deliveries way better than female Allier. Not necessarily better, but I think he fits it more. Fram is a character I totally understand why people dislike her, but I kind of love her. She's just super happy. I don't get why. I get that she could be annoying, but like, maybe it's just because I grew up watching kids at a daycare that I'm used to super energetic things, but like, I don't mind her. She's like 14. Of course, she's not going to be super mature. She's going to squeal at an idol. It makes sense. I don't really have any opinions on Clan, so we're moving on to the Fearnay people. Alfred, who is honestly, I don't know why I like him so much, because he's not deep at all. I just can't. This is the case with a lot of Engage characters. I don't know why I like you, but you are cool. As a unit, he's pretty bad, but he's pretty. I don't want to spoil it because part of him is pretty spoilery, so I think you should just play the game if you're curious about him. Celine is an amazing character. At first, and you know what's crazy? I hated her at first. I thought she was super one note. But then I watched some of her supports, and she's one of my favorite characters, not just in Engage, but in the entire franchise. Both her retainers are super fun too. Chloe and Louise are great characters and units, but I wouldn't call them deep. They're just entertaining. Yunaka is another great character. She's a fan favorite, and she's a fan favorite for a reason. She's super fun. She's super unique. She's super deep if you read into her supports. And I hear a lot of people complain that supports making up for character development is a crutch for Fire Emblem. And to some extent, I do see what people mean. But like, here's the thing. Permadeath is always a part of the series. You aren't always going to have characters in it, so they can't have every character be a part of every single cutscene, especially with casts as big as Fire Emblem. There's like 40 people in this game. They're not going to be able to make every person equally developed in the story. So having supports is probably the best way to go about it. Now, if you think that's stupid, then I guess Fire Emblem just isn't for you. I just don't think it is. Play another game that makes 40 characters equally as deep. Alchrist, I think, he's just fun. He's very silly. And again, a lot of these are just going to be very silly and fun. So I'm going to run through those. Lapis, Citrine. Diamond is actually a really well-written character. He picks up a lot after a certain character's death. But he is super well-written. He's likable. I just like his aspirations to improve relations between Illusia and Brodia. I think that's one of my favorite interactions in the entire game. That whole history between the two nations. Jade is a character that immensely grew on me. Same with Amber. I love the whole duo. Honestly, the entire Brodia cast is fantastic. I don't have a single complaint about any of them. Besides Sapphire, but I don't really have an opinion on her. Ivy is fantastic. One of the best characters in the franchise. She has great supports, great character growth throughout the story and in supports. Super fun. She was definitely not what I expected her to be before release. She's like a completely different character for one chapter, and then she's just never that same character again. People thought she was going to be the new Camilla, and actually, she became like the complete opposite. Zelkov and Kiketsu, both for trainers, are great. Hortensia, Goldmary, and Rosado are great. Rosato's a great character. I love him. Fogato, Pandreo, Tamara, Panette, Marin, all those. The Solm cast are fun and entertaining to me. You notice how not a lot of these are deep? You see how that's kind of a common theme in the game? It's clear they're not trying to be deep. Fire Emblem games have written deep characters before. This is clearly intentional. I don't think they're trying to... I don't think a game would purposely not be deep if they could be. Right? That doesn't make sense to me. And then finally, the entire... I'm going to call them the Gradalon cast. Vale, Mavier, Anna... Wait, not Anna. Nell, Rafal, Celestia, and Madeline. All those characters are great. Buy the DLC. I think it's 100% worth it. I think the cast is amazing. Even the great character moments at the supports, in the story. I personally think that any story, regardless of the media, can only excel if you have a good cast. If it's a book, if it's a movie, if I don't give a shit about the characters, I'm not going to care about your story. You have to have at least one good character. And I think Engage excels at that. The game is phenomenal. And honestly, I think anybody could enjoy it if they're willing to have fun and just ignore the plot being pretty standard. It's not bad. Simple does not mean bad, people. It really doesn't. If you're new to the series, I'd definitely say skip this one and play a couple of the other games first. I think you can only enjoy this game if you have some knowledge of past games, because that's kind of what the game is going with. If you just played Three Houses and want to play this game, you can, but do not expect as big or as grand of a story as Three Houses was. It's not trying to be that. I personally believe we should judge games based on what they set out to do. Fire Emblem Engage is trying to be a love letter to the franchise, right? It wants to tell a fun story with likable characters and stellar gameplay. And in my opinion, I think the game exceeds at that and then some. If you are a diehard fan of the franchise, pick this game up, though. You will absolutely love it, I think. Just embrace the cheese, and you'll have a pretty fun experience. Is it better than Three Houses, though? No. Is it worse? Also no. I don't think those two games should be compared at all. But aside the fact that they're Fire Emblem games, they're trying so different things. It's like comparing a Pepsi to a frickin' wine. You can't. Oh my god, that Pepsi comparison was 100% unintentional. But point still stands. Would you judge a hamburger for not tasting like a hot dog? No, that's stupid. Everyone would call you an idiot, right? Engage is trying to be a hot dog. Three Houses is trying to be a hamburger, right? One is a lot less sophisticated than the other, but it's still good, right? You still enjoy hot dogs. And one game wants to be a little bit more refined, right? It wants to have fun and be goofy. Neither is bad, neither is good, right? It all depends on your preference. And in my preference, I think the extra cheese is very much appreciated. Hopefully hopefully you enjoyed this little experiment. I don't know if I'm going to do this often, but I just had a lot of thoughts about Engage lately. I wanted to get them out into one video. This is Luna. Peace out.